Hey, what is going on? Wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Is this microphone on? I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Welcome to the Cold Calling Podcast. Oh my goodness, we're back again. Episode number 7, season number 3. I'm your host, Larry Long Jr., CEO, the Chief Energy Officer of LLJR Enterprises. Cold Calling Podcast, powered by our great friends at Monster Connect. Rawr! Leveraging technology to deliver actual conversations for you. Yes, you, B2B sellers. We want to connect you with 8 to 12 decision makers every hour. Yes, you heard me right. 8 to 12 decision makers for conversations every hour. Now, our hope is to provide you with valuable insights from sales reps and leaders to help you take your game to that next level. We want to see you succeed. We want to see you thrive in sales. And that's why we're here. Now, hey, I am thrilled to welcome our next guest. He's got extensive experience in sales. I took a look at it over 20 plus years as a rep, as a leader, and now a founder. And I'm going to call him California Dreaming, even though he's coming from across the pond. But he's the founder of an outsourced new business generation sales provider, providing consultancy, training, and helping you schedule those meetings. The founder of Dreamer from the southeast of England in the county of Kent. I hope I got that right. Let's give a warm, cold calling podcast. Put your hands together for Mr. Owain.
Yeah. What an intro. What an intro. Thank you very much for having me on, Larry. Really appreciate it.
Wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. So great to see you across the pond, Owen. I'd like to get started because I want to know you, and our listeners and our viewers want to know you. So we call this the who, the what, and the why. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Okay, so who? I'm going to start by giving you and all the viewers my full name. I was blessed to be given 5 names. I'm very proud of them. They represent each and part of my heritage. So you have Owain, which actually should be pronounced Owain because it's Welsh. You have Henri, Henri. That's French because I was born in Paris. You have Llewellyn, which is Welsh. That was my father. He was Welsh. Lala Narina is my 4th name, and that is a Malagasy name because my mum was from Madagascar. And then Williams. It's quite a bit of an anticlimax, my surname, but there you go. There's my 5 names representing each part of my heritage. So yeah, that's who I am. What do I do? So I, at the moment, run Dreamer, my company, which I started 3 years ago now. And I am a career salesperson. I have worked in sales since my very first job, which was selling ice creams down on the seafront because I'm blessed to live on the sea. And yeah, was selling ice creams, and then I moved into selling double glazing, appointment setting there. Then I spent a few years working in the timeshare industry, and then came back to England and have worked for a good long time and still do a little bit in IT sales. And then I'll run Dreamer as well. So that's the what and the why. The why. Well, I have always been a confident person. I played football, and I mean football as in our football over here that we use our feet with. I played football at quite a good standard from a young age, and it's quite natural, for a lot of people who play at a good standard that they just have an inner confidence. I've never been shy with people. I've always enjoyed meeting people, speaking to people, and found that quite easy and enjoy it. Love to know more about people, build relationships. I've got a wide network of lots of different groups of friends, and so it was natural that I did fall into sales. I didn't go through school wanting to be a salesperson. I fell into it. when I needed to get a job during college, and found a job appointment setting for the double glazing company, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Didn't get put off by the rejection. And it's just progressed from there. It's just a natural job for me to do. You know, it's nothing that I find challenging in the concept of dealing with people. And in the previous to setting up Dreamer, the IT company I said that I still do some work for, I'd become their sales director. I was their sales director for 10 years and then reached the ceiling within the business. So very amicably agreed to resign from my position there and set up Dreamer. Didn't have any intent to kind of become a competing business with what they do. They're far bigger than what I could ever imagine to be. And yeah, I was flying solo for a couple of years, and sales is just me. That's my why. I really enjoy it. Of course, there is some good money to be earned. That is the reality. I have a family to provide for. I have 3 sons, a wife. I am the sole breadwinner in our family, so it's natural, and that's my why. It's something I enjoy. I find natural, and I'm a big advocate for promoting sales as a career choice, because I don't know how it is in your part of the world, but still in the UK, it's not presented in schools as a career choice for people. And you know, you and I and many people will know that if you have fundamental sales skills, not only are you able to maybe work in sales, but they translate into lots of other careers. And so I'm a big drum banger for more young people to purposefully consider working and pursuing a career in sales.
Man, oh man, oh man. You came out the gates and just dropped the mic. Come on, Owain. Why you got to do that? And I normally do a segment I call Spill the Tea. So I was doing my research and I did a thing. I pressed it on your LinkedIn profile. You got the pronunciation of your name and you went in, and I was close. I'm going to be honest with you. I had you at Owain Henry, and I had that spelled Henry. Shame on me. Llewellyn Dorena Williams. So I was off on the Norina. Is that
Lala Norina? It's spelled exactly how it sounds. Lalanirina.
Oh goodness, I love it. I love it. I love it. Now that's not Welsh. The Llewellyn is Welsh.
Llewellyn's Welsh. Owen is Welsh. Lala Norina is Malagasy, from Madagascar. My mother was born in Madagascar. I still have cousins and aunts and uncles in Madagascar through inheritance, because my mother died some years ago. Through inheritance, I'm a landowner over there, which I think one of my cousins just manages. And I will take my family over there. I will absolutely take it. It's a big journey from where we are in England. I've only ever been once in my life when I was 10. I could still remember quite a big chunk of that trip, but I will go back with my own family at one point.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, welcome to the Cold Calling Podcast. We talk about all things cold calling, sales, business. And I want to learn from you. Owain, I'm here to learn. Our viewers, our listeners are here to learn. I want to hear from you. Boom, 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 boom. Give me the pulse and the state of cold calling and its effectiveness in today's changing environment. I want to hear what you're seeing, what you're feeling, because you're a seasoned veteran. You're a grizzled veteran in this game. Talk to me about what you're seeing, hearing, and feeling right now.
Okay, so from my own experience, cold calling is still the most effective channel to start conversations. Yeah. Of course, yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn, and my mind is always open. You know, I'm always open to considering other things, and I've tried other methods of starting conversations, and none for me yet are as successful as picking up the phone. So from my own experience, it's still the best channel for starting conversations. But of course, as is the way of the world, you know, there are plenty of people who maybe deliberately don't have phones, so you can't get hold of them, and you have to find other ways. And that's understanding, of course, your target audience. You know, as part of any campaign, and I'm obviously maybe going to say something that's very obvious to a lot of people, maybe to not not to some. But before you start any campaign, you have to be clear on who you're going after. Yeah, and then as part of that assessment, who we're going after, where do these people, where can I get them? Where can I find them? Where can I engage with them? And that differs from, you know, campaign to campaign. And there are plenty of campaigns where maybe using the phone is ineffective. It's probably a waste of time because you just won't be able to get hold of those people that way. So from my own experience, cold calling still remains that, but I do fully respect. I'm not one of those people who will shout down other people getting success in other ways. But from my own experience, the phone is still the primary method. And I think it embeds some great skills to be able to communicate with a variety of different people, capture their attention. Whereas arguably in other channels, you're going to struggle to do that, aren't you?
Oh, big time, big time. Well, tell me more. I want to know. I'm going to double dip. I know you're not supposed to stack questions, but hey, I'm a rebel without a cause. Talk to me about those skills that are necessary to have success in cold calling. And then I want to know specifically, how have you had the longevity that you've had and the success that you've had as a cold caller, as a leader of cold callers, and now as a founder? It's just bow, bow, bow. I want to know the keys to your success. So first the skills, and then the keys to your success. Unlock it for us.
Yeah. Okay. So skills. I'm whenever I'm asked that question, I regularly will say active listening. Active listening is absolutely key. And just for people who might not have heard that term before, there's a fundamental difference between listening politely, patiently waiting for the other person to finish speaking, just so you can suddenly start saying whatever you want to say, and then active listening, which is I am listening to what you're saying, and then whatever I say next is relevant to what you've just said. Yeah, big difference between those two skills, and plenty of people confuse them. They just say listening. Within an extension of that, active listening is very important, but I think what comes before that, yeah, open-ended questions, or at the right time in the process, a closed question if you just want a definitive answer. But the open-ended ones, obviously the ones that get conversation going, that get the other person thinking, maybe put them on the spot a little bit, but asking quality questions, then practicing active listening, and then whatever you say next at the appropriate time relevant to that conversation. Key skills. You know, of course you can talk about how you open a call. You know, plenty of people will try using your permission-based openers. Plenty of people might be, you know, use how are you and try and be a bit friendly, rapport building. There is no, from my observation, there's no one way of opening a call that trumps everything else. Yeah, it's down to the individual. And tone is, of course, important. The words, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you're going to say them. You know, if you inject some energy and enthusiasm into your voice, you stand a better chance of at least capturing that initial attention to buy you more time to have a conversation. And I'd imagine from watching some of your previous podcasts, Larry, you have obviously an amazing energy. Fantastic. It's a great attribute to have. And I have something similar. I wouldn't say it's on the same scale as yours, but so many times over my career, I've had people say comments like, "Oh, well, what did you have for breakfast?" Or somebody got out of the right side of the bed, you know, and, "Oh, wow, you're really happy," which is a great thing because of course, it works the other way around. If you call up and you're talking like this, you're just going to bore somebody. And straight away, nobody wants to speak to someone who sounds like, they've just heard of a death in their family or something. You're not going to capture their attention. But, and this is what I was going to say about, you will probably recognize this, you can sometimes actually be over the top and put off people with too much energy.
That's right.
And in doing so, you might actually conform to a lot of people's stereotypical image of a salesperson, a telephone salesperson. They're too happy, they're too chirpy, they're being too friendly, seeing as we're strangers. So you've got to constantly assess, and try have an open mind to try different ways to open a call, different questions, recognizing you cannot approach every single call saying the same things every single time, because you're dealing with a variety of different people. And that makes it hard, because before you pick up the phone, you might not be able to get that much insight as to who you're calling. And it's very much, ask a question, pause, make a statement, pause. I'm a big one for pauses, and anybody who hopefully has worked with me over the years will recognize that I'm very much, if you ask a question, or even if you just make a statement, you have to pause. You have to allow the other person to react. That might even be something like, "Hi, good morning, this is Owen." Pause. Just to see, and you might get people they might take an inhale of breath. They might say, "Hi," they might say, "What do you want?" But you have to give them that chance to react. And then that should help you start understanding, right, what do I do next because of this, how this person's reacted. It's a crime, a massive, massive crime that I've seen plenty of people I've worked with in the past do, and been guilty of myself, but they ask a question and then don't allow the other person to answer. Or even worse, ask an open-ended question, but then immediately close it down with two choices. You think it's ridiculous. So to go back to that original thing you said there, skills is being able to ask great questions and then practice active listening. Is it a skill to be able to have your mind open, to be able to understand that something that might have worked well for you yesterday becomes redundant tomorrow? Maybe it's a trait. I'm not so sure it's a skill, but it's very important to be able to reinvent yourself. I'm pretty sure that if I look back at how I used to do cold calling 10 years ago, how I do it now is probably very, very different. And you've got to reinvent yourself. And then this is going to put certainly into the context of the topic, of main topic of this one. This is even more important as we start to move in, and we're now going to get the younger generations coming into the world of work who have grown up communicating in a very different way. We might not start to see that really impact maybe 5, 10 plus years, but it is coming. How I've been able to build a life, you asked me that, the things that I've done over the years. You've got to detach from an outcome. Of course, if you are the type of person who, and this is not to rubbish anybody who's like this, because some people like that, but if you really take rejection to heart and it throws you off, sales isn't for you. Sales is not for you. Don't even bother trying it, because you will face so much rejection, and you've just got to move on, detach from it. Because you realize, okay, you might get someone very aggressive, rude, and that might throw you off for a minute or two, but guarantee if you just pick up another call, within 5 minutes, you've forgotten that call. You've moved on. So you have to be able to deal with rejection, detach from any kind of perceived outcomes, follow a process, of course, be clear about what you're aiming to do. But for me, it's just the perseverance being willing to open your mind, and amend your communication as much as possible, so that what you're saying is worded from the perspective of the benefit to the other person. If it's I, a lot of positive possessive pronouns, so what? I don't care what you do. What does it mean for me? and you have to be able to convey that very, very quickly to capture attention.
Ooh, that's powerful. Asking great questions, truly actively listening, being relevant in the conversation, open-minded to new ideas, the tone, not just what you say, but how you say it. And then the power of the pause. That was a true masterclass right there. Now, I love the keys to your success, detaching from the outcome, being able to deal with rejection, following a process and perseverance. I played a sport called baseball. I think y'all call it rounders. I was there across the pond. They said, "Oh, you play that rounders game," and then everyone laughed. I didn't find out until later that I guess it's a schoolgirl game that they play. The joke was on me. Now, you mentioned about your confidence. You talked about your confidence earlier, and you talked about playing football, the real football. I'll flip the script a little bit. Who's your squad? Who's your team?
Well, you might have just seen this cup that I just started drinking from Manchester United. Yeah, that's my team. We used to be a great team. Not so. I don't know if you follow football, Larry, but at the moment we're having a bit of a good period, but we haven't been the club that we were for many, many, many years. But that's my team.
There's always next year. Two funny stories. Number one, my wife is from Argentina, so she said, "Don't ever tell anyone from England that you're married to an Argentine." I guess there's some bad blood there with the hand of Diego.
Yeah, the hand of God, the Falkland Wars. I mean, the Falkland Wars was before my time. The hand of God, I was just born at the time, so I don't mind it. I think it's an older generation thing. There was obviously the 1998 World Cup where one of their players got our player sent off, but I'm a fan of beauty, of talent, and of course in Argentina they have the world's best player, arguably maybe the world's best ever player. For me, Zinedine Zidane. Do you know the name Zinedine Zidane? Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, for me, he's the GOAT. He won everything you can win, but of course Lionel Messi is amazing, and we're blessed to be alive in a time when he's been playing.
A true talent. The second story, one of our past guests in season number 2, Nathan Bird, the Birdman. He's from Nantwich, England, and he grew up a Manchester United fan. Well, he and I played on a co-ed soccer team, and our kid was of Man City. His girlfriend, now wife, took a picture and sent it to his dad. His dad wouldn't talk to him for 3 weeks. I said, "Nathan, that's absurd." He said, "Larry, you don't understand how deep it runs." I guess his dad's blood was boiling that his son would be wearing the enemy.
Yeah. Well, in Manchester, as I said, I'm not from Manchester, which is quite regularly something I get insulted by. There's a big contingent of Southern Reds in England, but I do know that in Manchester there is a strong hatred amongst Mancunians. You're either red or blue, and you don't mix that at all.
That is hilarious. Now you teased it, and we're gonna go there. I'm curious your thoughts around the new generation. And I know right now, and we'll get to it, there's the whole Chat GPT, the use of AI, but you mentioned an interesting concept that I think our listeners will be fascinated by. I want to know your thoughts as you think about Gen Z, this new generation, and their communication preferences, their communication trends, I guess you could say. What are your thoughts in terms of the impact that we might see in the world of sales, in the world of cold calling, smiling and dialing? I know how strongly you feel about this phone being powerful. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, it's something that's been floating around my head for at least a year. As I mentioned earlier, I have 3 sons, my eldest is 15.
Ooh.
And, he's had a phone for 4 years or something. I don't think I've ever seen him make a phone call. Never make a phone call, nor receive a phone call. And that he's not alien in doing that. That is the reality of that world. So you've got the Gen Zs who are growing up, the communication preferences, not making phone calls. The concept is alien to them. I'm pretty sure when I've said it to him before, you can see this strange look. Why would I do that? I can just text, So you've got the Gen Zs, then you've got the younger millennials. I'm officially a millennial. I'm like right on the cusp, born in '82. But the younger ones, same story. They have grown up. Their preferences: instant messaging, texting, WhatsApp, whatever other forms, Snapchat. They don't make phone calls. They don't make them. They don't receive them. And we're already starting to see the younger millennials, becoming into the world of work, and soon enough they'll become decision makers and then in positions of authority. Then when you get the Gen Z in, who have grown up communicating in a very different way to how the rest of older generations have, you think quite logically they're not going to have the skill set to be making phone calls, to be using the phone, and also they're certainly not going to be open to receiving phone calls because that's not how they've communicated. And it does make you think, well, what does that mean then? What does that mean for the world of sales and engagement? And it's not too far down the road. I'm 42. Well, I'm going to be 42 in a couple of months. So, I think, touch wood, so long as I continue to live for many, many more years, I think I will, towards the back end of my career, will really see this happen. We'll start to see this real shift, and I might become a dinosaur then, and struggle to engage in a way that I have done for many, many years with people, with the right type of people. So what does it mean for forward-thinking businesses? They certainly have to think about their strategies, and if you are solely reliant on using the phone for outbound, it's time to start thinking about how you start changing that, how you add in other channels, other methods. So you mentioned AI, ChatGPT. Of course, it's not something we can ignore. Not necessarily sure. It's a different kind of topic from the communication preferences. It's there. The people who are fearful in sales of AI replacing their job, I think that says something about their capabilities. If obviously, I did hear there was a call actually floated around LinkedIn a few months back. Someone, I think it was a complete AI Tesla. Was it maybe Tesla? Do you remember hearing that? There was a call.
It was an AI conversation.
Yeah, it was an AI. I think it was Tesla, and this AI made a call, and it was a complete AI. There was no human being. It called a human, and I wasn't sure. Having listened back to it, I wasn't sure whether the human at any point did realize. When you listen to it, maybe it was because you were already biased trying to listen for the robot. But I thought, well, it's quite obvious. But it was actually quite slick. And so that is interesting. But again, it doesn't really matter. You could have an AI make calls, but if the other people aren't on the other end accepting calls, it's irrelevant. So interesting indeed. And I think forward-thinking businesses need to, if they're not already thinking about it, need to start thinking very seriously. What does this mean for our future and how we generate interest and find new clients?
Ooh, Owen, I got to give you props, man, because I haven't heard much talk around the generations. And you said it best. Forward thinking. Not those that are thinking about the right now, but I know you said 5 years, 10 years down the road as you progress, you're thinking about this. I appreciate you sharing that. And for those that are listening in, tuning in, a little bit louder for the people in the back, you should be aware of. You should be thinking through, what is your strategy going to look like in the long term when folks are not picking up the phone because they've never picked up the phone. They've communicated with the Twitter fingers. How are you going to reach them? How are you going to engage? Now, Owen, I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to get into your brain as you think through this. What is your strategy? If you're open to sharing.
Yeah. Well, what really prompted it is, for some time I've had an idea, and it's not a revolutionary idea. Plenty of other people have done it, but creating an academy of sorts. You know, I have a big passion for. I think I said this right at the beginning. Yeah, I did, about how I am a big sales advocate. You know, I want to encourage more young people to deliberately consider working in sales and gaining sales skills. And I particularly like working with young people who have failed academically. You know, they haven't got good grades in their studies. They might not have even finished education. I don't know how it is in the US, but certainly here in the UK, there's a lot of kind of emphasis that academic achievement is the route to success. Now, you and I know, and plenty of other people know, that it isn't a guarantee for success in sales. It doesn't matter really what you achieved academically. That has no bearing on your abilities to be successful in sales. Yeah. So I particularly like to work with young people who haven't done well at school, and the system here is telling them that their paths are pretty bleak. You know, they will have, their futures aren't really positive. They'll do lots of menial jobs. And to get those young people, as long as they've got some inner traits, you know, that they're coachable, they have ambition, they're personable, I like to work with them and train them, give them sales skills so that they can either pursue a career in sales or use those skills to achieve success in other ways in life. So within that, then it was this concept of a sales academy, which is still floating around my head. Just I have so many plates spinning, it's not something I can actually give proper time to. But then when I recently was rethinking about it again, I was thinking, well, if I'm looking at maybe doing that in 2 years' time, I'm going to be going in talking about the phone to a bunch of people who will be looking at me like I'm an alien. And that's then what led me to think, right, okay, wow, what are we doing about it? What am I going to do about it? So to answer your question, what am I going to do about it? Yeah, I've been exploring using email marketing. About 6 months ago, had a little run at doing some cold email marketing. Failure. Yeah. Doesn't mean I won't try it again, but it was a failure. I understand why it was a failure. I think cold email marketing is a very difficult channel to be a success in. Obviously, email marketing, once you've got some engagement, different context, but cold email marketing, very difficult. You've of course got content marketing, demand generation, but all of those still require, you know, engaging someone cold. You know, you can use your digital marketing, you can use your social media, look to create brand awareness better using, you know, digital technologies, SEO. But where does it come down to? Basically, it's just trying to explore all of the different channels that are available to start conversations, to capture attention from the right people. And that's what I'm going through a process of doing. You know, for my own business, test, you know, review, analyze, go again, test, review, analyze, go again, to work out, to find out for the here and now, of course, but also in the future, so that when you do see this absolute shift where you've got the older generation have all retired, you've got these younger generation now in the position of authority, that we're not at that point then having to start and think, oh, how do we engage with them? We would have gone through 2 to 5 years worth of testing to hopefully then be in a position where we're much clearer on what are the best ways to continue engaging for the future.
Owen, this is fascinating. I'm going to ask you, where did this, because I won't say it's not normal, but I don't hear this very often. Someone who's passionate about serving young people, specifically young people that have not had academic success, might come from environments that aren't your traditional success stories. Where did that come from?
Yeah, okay. So in my past life, prior to setting up the Dreamer, I mentioned that I worked for some time for this IT wholesaler. And during that time, recruited numerous apprentices, young people, and in all openness, took great pleasure from, and I can think off the top of my head, at least 5 examples of where a 16 to 18-year-old came in, you know, from a broken home, maybe on the poverty line, not very confident, but in a very short period of time, relevant in life, you know, that might be 1 to 2 years, from them being able to learn sales skills and apply those and achieve some success, the transformation in their circumstances was really amazing to see, really pleasurable. You know, there's one guy in particular who I'm still engaged with. You know, he was one of my last hires actually before I ended up leaving. And he was full of energy right at the beginning, but you know, the energy, I couldn't necessarily channel it in the right way to the phone. So we moved him away from going to phones and put him on an admin-based role for a little bit. Yeah. Then he moved into sales, and after I left, he was under the leadership of my successor there, who's done a fantastic job with him. And at 22 years old, he's now just about to complete on his first property purchase. 22 years old, yeah. And yeah, it's amazing, Larry. It's amazing. And he's buying this house by himself. He's not in a relationship. You know, I know he doesn't come from money at all. But he has been able to do that. He failed academically, by the way. You know, he did really badly at school. But regardless of all of that, because he can sell, because he can engage with people, because he can learn those skills, he has transformed his future, and he has set himself up a very. I mean, I don't know about you when you bought your first property. I certainly wasn't 22 when I did. You know, and property prices where we live are ridiculously high as well. It's amazing. It's an amazing achievement for him, and yeah, I don't take credit for that at all. I played a part in it. I was there at the start for him, and he's just one example. So I know how transformative working in sales can be, irrespective of what you did or didn't achieve in school. And I take amazing pleasure from playing a part in helping people transform their futures.
Owen, I applaud you. I encourage you. What you're doing is having great impact. And I give you credit for helping these folks that might not have someone in their corner to really knock out and thrive in life. That's what we need more of. So for the folks that are out there, let's make sure that we amplify. Let's make sure that we support everything that Owain has going on. where can folks get in touch with you? Where's the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, well, I use LinkedIn very regularly. I post my own content frequently. I engage with lots of other people's content. So that's certainly one way to find me. My website is dreamer.co.uk. Dreamer is spelled, as you can see on the screen, differently. Oh, just on that one, Larry, let me take the opportunity just to give people the explanation behind the name. Dreamer is a portmanteau of dragon and lemur. So the dragon is a Welsh symbol, which is my father, and the lemur is a Malagasy symbol. It's an animal indigenous to Madagascar, the lemur. And so take part of lemur, part of dragon, and you have dreamer. So that's the history behind that name. Represents them. I lost them several years ago, and I came up with the name actually 17 years ago now. On their 25th wedding anniversary, I wrote them a poem.
Wow.
And I came up with the name Dreamer at the time, but I was, well employed with the other company, so I had no thought process to use it in a business sense. Then, obviously, when my circumstances changed, and I was thinking I need to come up for a name of my business, it was there straight away. Of course, it has marketing connotations about dreams and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the history. Sorry, just to take side subject, but yeah, my website, dreamer.co.uk. I'm has contact details on there. My email is owen@dreamer.co.uk. For anybody who wants to get in touch, I'm not difficult to find.
I love it. I love it. And that's Owain, spelled Owain. Let's make sure that we support all the amazing things that Owain has going on. Now, Owain, last week we had a guest, Will Barfield, and it was on Valentine's Day. I got to ask you, if there's one piece of advice that you would give to our listeners and our viewers, give us some love. What piece of advice do you want to give to our listeners and viewers as they go about trying to have success, trying to follow in your footsteps and have success in cold calling, in sales, and in life? What's that one big piece of advice?
Yeah. Let me just think. Pause momentarily to think. Okay. You are never the finished article until life is finished for you. Yeah. So that's a quote I actually have pinned up on one of the walls in our office. And it came inspired my previous boss. He used to regularly say that. But what I actually mean by that is you have to keep an open mind to find what works best for you as an individual. Yeah. There is no guarantee that you could sit next to the best salesperson and just mirror what they do and get the same results. Doesn't work like that. Unfortunately not. Soak it up. Take from that person. Oh, I think I could say that. Yeah, I could be comfortable saying that. I'm going to put that into how I operate. That person over there, they say something different. I think I could be comfortable saying that. And you have to constantly be assessing yourself and realize, if you say I've always done it that way, that's a warning sign. I've always done it that way. Fine, but is it continuing to get you the results? So find what works best for you as an individual by soaking up as much as possible from other people. There is no one way that trumps everything else for everybody. It's about what working best for you, and then maximize that. Maximize your strengths as a priority, whilst also looking to improve your weaknesses, but not the other way around. Not think, what am I weak at? I need to sharpen those up. First, understand, what am I good at? What am I good at? And then I need to be excellent at. Then I need to be above all at. Maximize my strengths first and work on my weaknesses simultaneously.
I love it. Do you mind repeating that quote?
You're never the finished article until you're finished with life.
Ooh, I love it. And I got to thank you. I can't thank you enough for so many mic drop moments, but that was right there. One of the best. You are never a finished article until you're finished with life. Soak it up. Keep an open mind. Find out what works for you as an individual. Owain, come on now. Thank you. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Monster Connect, the Cold Calling Podcast, our viewers and listeners, we send you sincere thanks. Thank you so much for just sharing wisdom, knowledge, and your experience. So for everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. Please join us next Wednesday, February the 28th. Same bat time, same bat place, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific, as we welcome Amy Milner, Executive Vice President of Partner Sales at Abstract Marketing Group. You don't want to miss it. We're continuing to give you knowledge to take your game to that next level. Thank you for coming out. God bless you and good night. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks, Larry.